getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome to this special presentation of the Grand Prix Tour on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gregory here with you on the call, along with my partner, Racing Ron Maunz, and our producer, Joahuah Wilkie. And we here at SMB are very pleased indeed to be bringing you the inaugural broadcast of this fantastic league. The Grand Prix Tour was founded in late 2022 as a haven for drivers who craved high-level competition, but without the poor driving standards that we sometimes see in official lobbies. And in addition to having high expectations for drivers in terms of both pace and courtesy, the league membership is built around an easygoing culture that doesn't take the sim too seriously. And this year, GPT introduced the Gold class, who may not have the pace of the pointy end of the field, but still represent the right attitudes and driving behaviors that combine the GPT experience. And Ron, as we work our way through the 2026 Porsche Cup season here with Grand Prix Tour, we've already had a couple of pretty good tracks scheduled, looking pretty good.
Yeah, we're off the back of some stunners of racetracks to visit in the early stages of this season. Has created an interesting picture when it comes to the points as well. Take a look at the calendar that we have here in this season in just a couple of moments time. Run you through what we have seen and what we will see later on. Next time you'll be able to catch this series on slow motion broadcasting will be for the season championship finale at Suzuka, but we've already had the likes of Interlagos, Road Atlanta, Imola, and Sebring, some absolutely amazing racetracks, all with their own unique quirks and features and unique amounts of flair. But here at Road America, it's a track that I absolutely adore, JR, and just another feather in the cap for these drivers. And because of the varied tracks that we have visited throughout the first 4 rounds, it's given quite the interesting championship points situation as we head our way off into round number 5.
Yeah, quite an interesting looking set of points here as we take a look. A couple of ties up top there. You see Lyon and Cobb tied for P1. Another tie there between Peterson and Eisenring for P6. So some great competition. And as you said, a really good schedule to showcase this new 992 Cup car. And we'll get to that in a second. But of course, here we are. This is the first broadcast race of this 2026 Porsche Cup season, and it is designated as a major championship. So double points out here tonight at Road America. And if you've been watching our camera work so far, you know that we are at Road America outside Elkhart Lake in the Kettle Moraine region of Wisconsin. And in the early 1950s, Elkhart Lake had been host to an annual sports car race on ad hoc circuits made up of linked sections of county highways. But safety concerns ended open road racing, and led to the construction of Road America in 1955. And we just passed 70 years of racing out here at Road America. Place host to NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and a full slate of amateur track days. Today's config is 4 miles, 6.5 clicks, 14 corners. Our current record is a 141.874, set all the way back in 1998 by Alex Zanardi in a Reynard kart car. So Ron, a classic draft heavy track here, and this is one of those tracks where we all have a million laps, so it comes down to hundreds and thousands of a second out here. So what are you expecting out of these cars and drivers tonight at Road America?
Well, when it comes to the drivers, I'm expecting them to run it to the absolute limits of control. It may seem like a simple racetrack, but it is far from. You've got those massive straightaways, heavy braking zones, and even the turns as well can pack a punch as well. And these drivers have a lot on their hands when it comes to talking about this car as well. You know, we're running the brand new Porsche 992.2 Cup cars, just introduced into this build of iRacing here for Season 1 of 2026, right at the end of last calendar year. Now, as we're knocking on the door of the Season 2 build, these drivers have gotten some experience driving in these cars, but not a whole lot. They're not venerated race cars by any means, so we're still trying to figure out the quirks and features of these cars with a brand new suspension build, brand new engines. We also have to think about the traction control and ABS in every other series but this. No traction control, no ABS allotted to these racers, which is going to make those heavy braking zones, slow turns, and the acceleration zones coming out of them very, very tricky, not just in the race coming up, but this qualifying session that we're just now getting to the end of.
Yeah, too right, Ron. And I've had the pleasure of putting some laps down in this car. It really is a fantastic drive, but there was some grumbling among the purists who remember this is the 3rd generation of 911 GT3 Cup in the iRacing world, and the previous 2, no traction control, no anti-lock brakes. There was some grumbling that those electronic helpers were added to this car, but Grand Prix Tour has elected to leave them turned off. So we are on a fixed setup, no nannies enabled whatsoever. So we're kind of get the benefits of the new suspension, increased power, and we still have the, as you see, no traction control there for Mosby as he tries to get that car straight. But yeah, it's really the best of both worlds. The car does feel a lot better, and it's kind of fun once you've earned your wings driving these cup cars without those electronic nannies, you kind of want to keep that going because it's not easy to do. And if you got really good at piloting the old cup car, I think you would have felt a little bit ripped off that all of a sudden it became a lot easier with the nannies. So again, folks, that's right. Not to beat a dead horse, no traction control, no anti-lock brakes for this event today. And as qualifying winding down, take a look at our timing tower over on the upper left-hand side of your screen. Two classes of drivers out here today, as I mentioned in the lead-up. We have the platinum drivers that are designated by the platinum color on our timing tower, and gold drivers designated by the gold. And taking a look at our qualifying so far, it is Grotto from Franznik, from William Wolf, from Yost, from Scott Dancer, your top five, but notably from Franznik and Wolf, both driving out of the gold division. So theoretically, that is the slower class of drivers out here with the Grand Prix Tour, but not the case today, Ron, as Franznik and Wolf are right up there at the pointy end of the field.
And as we see Matt Mosby come across the line here in the number 35 car, yet to put a lap time on the board. We'll see where that will put him. But this is a very deep talent pool here for this series, although Mosby was actually not able to put a representative time on the board. He has one opportunity left to try and do it here in this solo session. But talking about the talent pool in this series, JR, we have varied perspectives, getting the opportunity to cover these drivers either as broadcasters, or in your case, you've gotten the opportunity to drive alongside and with some of these racers as well, including our producer, Mr. Joahuah Wilkie, as well. So I know from my side, I've gotten the opportunity to cover many of these drivers, not just in Porsche machinery. I look at the likes of Robert Neville and a man that I've seen before in the Radical SR10s, as that's Mosby looping and heading at turn number 5. But now, very, very deep talent pool here in this series, JR. Just want to ask you about some of the other names that stick out to you the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the I ratings as well. I'm not sure if we can get the strength of field up here, but there's some very high rated drivers up here. We have a 6K driver, a couple of 4Ks, a handful of 3Ks as well. So really the cream of the crop driving these Porsche Cup cars, and we should see some fantastic competition out here because of it. As I mentioned, Road America is free content. It's a renowned track that we've all had, thousands and thousands of laps on. So it it really completely lost my train of thought there. Yes, outstanding deep field of talent out here, and it's kind of reflected by the gap that we see in our qualifying times. It looks like the top 13 cars separated by only 1 second. And what I was saying is, you drive a place like Road Atlanta, Road America, Spa. Everybody has so many laps out here. It really takes a lot of effort to scrape off those tenths and hundredths to set yourself apart from the rest of the field. And we should really see a lot of that tonight. Very, very good, clean competition out here. And Mosby still struggling here. He is going to give up. And I don't think Mosby has set a qualifying team. Neither has Mark Nister, but it looks like qualifying is wrapping up. We are going to have the starting grid for you here in a second. And welcome again to this inaugural broadcast of the Grand Prix Tour on Slow Motion Broadcasting.
And I'm looking forward to it, man. This is going to be so much fun. This feels like a dream combination. Sports cars at Road America. It's match made in heaven, JR. Let's take a look at the starting grid for the first ever time for the Grand Prix Tour here on SMB.
Yeah, it's Logan Grotto up front, lined up next to James Franznik, then William Wolf will line up next to Ross Yost in row 2. Scott Dancer will line up next to Derek Seifer, one of the league founders and admins here for GPT. Then Austin Cobb next to Nick Malaragno. I'm not sure if I got that right. Leif Peterson will line up next to Rob Neville in row 5. Luke Mann next to Enrico Gregorato. That's my cousin Rico there in row 6. And as we scroll along here, we're going to move on to David Fernandez. We'll line up next to Nick Faciolo. Peter Kummer will line up next to Rich Minkler in row 8. Then it's McDonald next to Chris Sherburne. Dale Green will line up next to Matt Mosby in row 20. And then Mark Nister, very fast driver who I've seen in a few series, will have to take up the rear due to not setting a qualifying time up here. So keep an eye on Nister and Mosby to move up quickly here. And as we look at the starting grid, that is going to be Logan Grotto there in the red pole livery. He's going to have the inside run into that very tricky turn one here for the first time. We're going to see some passing right there around. We're going to see a lot of contested side-by-side entries right here. And this is where these drivers are going to show their trust in each other and show their car control as they attack that high-speed turn one.
Yeah, that's going to be a somewhat terrifying run for these competitors. That's going to make a huge difference in this hour-long race as they are already rolling.
Yeah, we have got the green flag, and Grotto gets off to a pretty good run there. William Wolf has pushed past James Franchlik to move up into P2. Got a lot of side-by-side here. I told you we're going to have contested entries into turn one all night, and it is starting right now. And so far, so good. Pretty clean. Looks like Leif Peterson swamped off the start, has lost 4 positions, dropping him down to P13. And not a lot of shuffling otherwise. And I also told you to keep an eye on Mosby. Mosby has picked up 5, currently running in P15. Mark Nister as well has picked up a quick 3 in the first couple of corners. And here we go from Road America. Thank you again for joining us here for this inaugural broadcast. And man, looking forward to this one. And here we go down the hill into turn 5. Another great passing opportunity, Ron. Hard braking zone. And another area where without ABS, getting these cut cars woed up can be a real handful.
Yeah, it's one of the heaviest braking zones of the lap, and with a slight downhill descent in through there as well. Going to be very tricky for these racers, not just on the first lap. It looks like everybody coped with the challenge brilliantly, but all throughout this race too, as looking to move from Luke Mann, trying to jump his way up in a P8. That's himself and the 3 of Melaragno going side by side as they head their way off through the carousel. It looks like that's going to be a remaining line of stern between those 2 competitors, but they're still close as they head their way through the fast run through the forest, out of the kink through Kettle Bottoms. Is going to be a quick run down to Canada Corner.
Yeah, and that first run through the kink can be rife with hazards there, as tires not quite warmed up yet. And there is a move for P2. Looks like Yost is going to push through, get past William Wolf into Canada. That's +2 for Yost so far. It looks like we have lost Dale Green as well. Somehow Green showing a black flag. He is going to be heading into the pits. I'm not sure what happened with Green. We'll see if we can figure that out. But as lap 1 concludes, it is Grotto from Yost, from William Wolf, from Franznik, from Dancer. And we do have some movers. I told you Mosby was going to be charging. He's up 7 to sit in P13. Nister up 4 to sit in P14. And now as we can breathe a little bit here, cars nose to tail here as we get lined up in single fire. There's one of the last tense cars going wide. That may have been William Wolf going wide there, almost touching the kitty litter out of turn 1. He's going to get passed inside by his teammate Austin Cobb. Cyphers sniffing around there as well. So small mistakes out here, Ron. You can get swallowed up by a field this tight very, very quickly.
Yeah, so Wolf can shoot up and spat at there with the moment, heading out of turn 1 into 3 here. And look at the opportunistic dive here from Austin Cobb. Sensing an opportunity, seizes the opportunity, and gets the move done. He books his way up into another spot. Everybody trying to make hay while the sun is shining in the early stages here, which is part of the reason why it's so frantic. Looking at the action into turn number 10, right under the bridge. Side-by-side racing involving Derek Cyphers. He's trying to hold his way onto that spot inside of the top 10, and currently holding on to it right now, but Gregory all over him like a bear rug.
Man, some fantastic stuff here early. And when you're driving these cup cars, you got to strike while the iron is hot. Take those opportunities when they present themselves. We're seeing a lot of that right now. And look at that timing tower, folks. Those intervals there, the colored intervals are all intervals under 1 second. Our entire timing tower painted by those very short intervals, with the exception of up front. As somebody behind Gregory there, not sure, that might have been Mosby flirting with disaster, going a little bit lawn mowing right there. But look at those tight intervals, nothing over 1 second between P4 all the way down to McDonald in P20. So that is the level of competition out here in Grand Prix Tour, and really everything that I expected. 2 laps down now, although Grotto starting to light the wick here, has dropped Yost outside of draft range. Yost also enjoying a pretty good gap back to Franznik. A second and a half. Franznik has dropped Austin Cobb. So our front runners starting to pull away a little bit here, Ron, and you don't want to miss the draft train out here at Road America, or you're going to be late to work.
Yeah, make sure that you get there well before that ticketed time says you have to be there. Otherwise, you're going to be in for some trouble. These racers looking to be proactive instead of reactive. Get involved in the situation and put yourself in a good spot before it is too late. Looking at Casey McDonald battling with Chris Sherburne. That's for the final 2 spots out there on the racetrack currently, as Mark Nister was running into some connection issues. I think he still is. He's come down pit lane right now, only 5 minutes into this race, blinking like crazy. Some UFO activity potentially going on for the driver, the number 5, but he looks like he'll be rejoining the racetrack as we jump back to the action. Robert Neville side by side briefly. Matt Mosby and Enrico Gregorato side by side into turn number 6. That's Mosby getting hung out to dry. He's still put on a fantastic charge after not setting a representative qualifying time. He's up to 12th, although he thought about going for 11th, had that door shut right in his face.
Yeah, and an hour race here, folks, so plenty of time, and it's easy for me to sit here and advise these drivers to take it easy and take a breath. They got a lot of time ahead of them, but as I said, with these Cup cars, if that window creaks open, if there is a sliver of light, you got to think about sticking that Cup car in there, and you saw Mosby considering it right there, but my goodness, a lot of shuffling right now. We got Yost has picked up the fast lap so far of 2:05.853. And as you mentioned, Ron, Mosby still on his charge, up 8 right now, finding himself in P12 and plenty of time left. So Mosby making his case right now for hard charger. And stick around after the broadcast. We will be interviewing winners from both classes and the hard charger. So you may be hearing from Matt Mosby here after the race if things continue as they have been so far for him.
Yeah, so that'll be fascinating to get his perspective and ask him how tricky it was to try and scythe his way through the field. He's been able to put on a hard charge thus far. One driver, though, has been able to make up some spots is Austin Cobb. We see him battling right now. James Franznik in the 39 car. They were side by side, heading their way down the start-finish stretch into 1. Looked like Cobb was able to hold on to P3. Franznik, though, got to feel a little bit frantic in this battle. Scott Dancer is right behind him. This 3-car breakaway maybe going to break out into a little civil war here. Keep an eye on Dancer in that number 11 car as he pulls down the inside into turn 5 with Franznik in the 39. He gets hung out to dry. He's going to back out of it, and Dancer going to jump his way up into 4th.
Yeah, Franznik, really no defense there. I think he decided to let Dancer through there, and you got to cover that inside line into turn 5, and if you don't, you are a sitting duck down the Moraine sweep downhill into that hard braking zone, and there is a little scrap breaking out right there between Mosby and Rob Neville, and that one has got Neville rattled, and that is going to open the door to Gregorato behind. Now it's Neville side by side with Gregorato entering the carousel, and Neville is going to have the advantage by virtue of being on the inside there, but Gregorato sniffing all around there, almost looked like he had it done, and Gregorato wanting to move up right now, still sitting in his qualifying position of P12, and Mosby, by the way, now plus 10, having broken in to the top 10 after getting past Neville.
Yeah, so while everybody else running into some sort of craziness, either cutting their way through the field or dropping down a bit, just holding even. That's a bit of an achievement in and of itself in what has been a frantic first 8.5 minutes of this race. Logan Grotto, though, not feeling as comfortable as a race leader would have in mind. Only a half a second margin between himself and Ross Yost. Got to keep our eyes on that here, JR, because a half a second margin of all tracks here at Road America, that is by no means comfortable with a 2-minute plus lap time, a half a second. You know, that could be gained by just going like a couple of inches closer in through the carousel.
Yeah, too right. Not safe at all, especially with a couple of long sections and a good opportunity to draft. We're looking at one right now as we head down head down the Moraine sweep into turn 5, and you see that slipstream go to work. Watch that interval drop. We're getting down to about 25 hundredths right now, and Yost is just going to breathe the throttle and tuck in behind Grotto right there, but he definitely had a crack at something there if he wanted to. And Ron, that makes me wonder, fuel strategy could potentially affect the outcome of this one, and it may be Yost's plan just to run behind Grotto, save fuel. And I'll tell you, every liter of fuel that go into these things during the pit stop makes a big difference in your pit time. So Yost may be playing that game right now, and Grotto really nothing that he can do about it. Taking a look now at James Franznik, leader of the gold class right now. Franznik had qualified pretty well. He qualified in P2, has lost a couple of positions, but still has looks like about, I'm going to say, a 2-second gap on Will Wolf, who is P2 in gold, P8 overall, and Rob Neville is currently running in P3 in gold, P11 overall. So Franznik doing a great job here. As I said, lost a couple of spots, but knows who he's racing with, and he's probably going to be very, very happy if he can hang on to this top 5 spot, which is P1 in his class.
Yeah, so your leader in gold right now, just in a sea of platinum at the current moment. That sounds quite expensive, but Franznik putting together a very good drive at the moment, P5 for him. And just to kind of bounce off that point that he raised a bit earlier on, JR, talking about the fuel-saving opportunities here, it may be a flat-out track, this. You know, you're spending a lot of the lap at full chat. However, with that comes the opportunity to do a heck of a lot of fuel saving. So if the drivers can play this game well, lift and coast whenever they want to, you know, with the F1 festivities in the rearview mirror this past weekend, lift and coasting is a bit of a dirty word now in the world of motorsports, but I'll still bring it up anyways. The lifting and coasting and the fuel saving opportunities that you may have on your hands if you play the game well could be fantastic. Now, if you play the game poorly, you're going to be a sitting duck. But if you play the game well, if you know how to maintain pace and get that extra fuel number, come time for those pit stops, you're going to be flying.
Yeah, absolutely. And running along now with Melorano. Hopefully I've got that right this time as he comes up. This right here is the bane of my existence at Road Atlanta, at Road America, that tough turn 6 left-hander. The car lightens up right across the apex right there. Really kind of hard to maintain proper brake pressure as you're trying to rotate through there. These guys making it look easy, but that a very, very tough spot. And Nick looks like he wants to push Franznik out of that P5. And a quick replay, I mentioned that Dale Green had picked up a black flag, and here is his incident right here. That may not be related to the black flag, but you see him overcooking that entry into turn 5. A little over rotation there. Car gets loose and loss of control by Green. And as we look at a couple of other incidents, here is Luke Mann. We talked about him earlier in qualifying. And little wiggle there. Ooh, man, that is a tough place to get loose into turn 8. And then, well, it's tough to save it and easy for it to happen. Here's the onboard from Mann on that approach into turn 8, and just a little snap there, and could have been worse. Man only lost a couple of positions, but I know that feeling of getting that pendulum swinging behind you going into turn 8.
As we see some side-by-side racing going on with Luke Mann trying to get a move done on Melorano. That's a nice little Dunkin' Donuts car. I'd love to see that out on the racetrack. Currently holding on to P6 at the moment. See, now I'm hungry. But already seeing drivers run into troubles off into the heavy braking zones that are going downhill. We saw it happen in turn number 5. We just saw it a few moments ago heading off into turn number 8. A braking zone that I feel like is a bit of a silent but deadly section of the racetrack right before the carousel, may be overshadowed by its bigger turn brother that immediately follows it, but still a very hard corner to try and nail down, as 5 proving to be a trouble spot for Melorano. He hops the berm, hop, skip, and a jump over the gravel trap. He drops down to 7.
Yeah, and Melrano left the inside open there for man. Here's the replay right here, and looks like he's going to get away with leaving that open door, but kind of overcooks, trying to outbrake man down into turn 5, and you saw the result there again. Could have been far worse for Nick right there. Only lost the one position from the attacking car, gathered it back in, but man, getting his work done here, up 5, running in P6.
Oh, he gathered it up, but not for long. He's dropping down like a stone thrown into a pond. He's down to 17th at the moment. So disaster breaking out for him. Let's see. It was the turn I was just mentioning. The downhill braking zone start off with turn 5 where things started to go wrong. And then through turn number 8, it's a spin coming out of the turn, and he noses it into the tire barrier as well. Now, JR, the tire barriers here on iRacing, I mean, they're not soft and cuddly in real life, but they're extra not soft and cuddly in the sim.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no give whatsoever. It might as well be black tubes of concrete, and Melrano definitely picking up some damage right there. And man, that is a trouble spot, that turn 8. If you have done laps out here at Road America, you have done that. So easy to, as you're trying to trail break these cup cars around turn 8, so easy to over rotate it. And if you can catch it really quickly, like we saw Man do on a previous lap, you can stay out of the worst kind of trouble, but really easy just to loop it completely off to the left-hand side, and Melrano taking a hit on the nose right there. And with 44 minutes and change remaining as Melrano stops for repairs, you got to think that this is going to cost him an extra fuel stop as well.
I wonder if he would maybe be able to stretch his legs through to the end, but it would certainly be a heck of a tough ask. He would probably also have to completely fill that car up with gas to make it there. Stands to reason. 16.2 seconds down in the pit stall, so that is a bit of a lengthy stop in these Porsche Cup cars, but not the lengthiest in the world. I'm not sure if he is eyeballing making it to the end. Probably just damage limitation at the moment. As he rejoins the racetrack, he gets briefly abducted by a UFO off into turn number 1. But JR, it's been a very competitive start to this race. You look at our graphics, just a sea of orange gaps. Orange gaps indicating less than a half a second, folks. And then you got the yellow gaps as well, less than a second. They are plentiful all throughout the field. Looks like a firestorm out there with the amount of orange and yellow.
Yeah, absolutely right. And back in on board with Ross Yost once again. And he has been doing a great job maintaining that gap ahead to Grotto, who's been lingering around 0.3 of a second. And as we come out of this critical turn 14 back onto the front straight, it is going to stay there. So I've got to think, Ron, that with all the laps that we have down so far, that Yost could have had a crack at making a passing attempt here at Grotto. He hasn't done it. And if we watch him right here, watch that interval dropping. He's clearly lifting right there on the entry to turn 1. So Ross playing the fuel game right here, and it'll be fascinating to see how that pans out for him. He has been right there with Grotto for the first full 20% of this race, and if he can keep that going, that is really going to take massive chunks of time off of his fuel stop.
Yeah, I always talk about it in terms of reeling in a gap in a race, of working at it in a methodical way. You don't need to save, like 5 gallons of fuel in one lap and one lap alone. You could do that if you decide to hook up a giant sail onto the top of your car, but otherwise that's going to be a real hard task. So these racers just getting a small little bit of fuel saving done lap after lap, it'll add up after a while, as we saw Will Wolf involved in a pretty intense battle with himself and Derek Cyphers. Cyphers has been able to jump his way up into 7th. Also saw some battling a little bit further behind, but one point to raise talking about that move that Will Wolf tried to get done on Derek Cyphers and may be able to do as Cyphers runs wide, hang out of turn number 8. Look, only 2 spots farther up the road, our gold class leader of James Franznick is in P6 while Wolf is in 8th. That may be a battle for a class lead that we have to touch on here soon, JR.
Yeah, Will is definitely cranking that interval down. It looks like he's got it down to about 1.4 seconds. Franznick was pretty comfortable, and looks like there's something happening up front. I see my timing tower lighting up. There's a change of position with Yost and Grotto. Oh, my goodness. And my gosh, both of those drivers getting camera shy, going off and into the wall. We'll go back and show you what happened there. But my timing tower was flashing. Those two were going side by side, and something went terribly wrong right there. That is going to put Austin Cobb in P1. It's Cobb from Yost, from Scott Dancer, from Logan Grotto, and at least one of those cars with substantial damage. Here is your replay, and it looks like we are coming down the back straight here, entering Canada corner, and that is Yost trying to make that pass happen on the outside of Canada. Goes a little wide. Oh my gosh, and it looks like something happened with Grotto. Josh, I'm gonna have to see that one more time with a focus on Grotto's car, because he looked completely clear here, as he's got Yost right now on the outside. He's trying to leave him space, and whoop! Oh my gosh, gets a little tank slapper going, no traction control, folks, and there it is. Logan Grotto crashes out of P1 and has stuffed that car into the barrier, and that is going to leave a mark. Grotto continuing to fall off here, and God, we'll have to see whether or not he is going to try to keep limping that car around the track, but he's already down in P5. So again, that is Cobb from Yost, from Dancer, from Mann, from Logan Grotto, who's still hanging on there in P5. But I know that that is not the way that Grotto wanted this race to go. And here is one more look at it here, and you see Grotto being cautious here, trying to leave space on the inside. Little tank slapper, and bam! That is a huge hit, Ron. Huge.
Yeah, I gotta say, JR, I think the main call with that was just down to the momentum swinging. You get a bit of a pendulum effect whenever you lose control of the back end of these race cars. It snaps around one way, then the other, with a lot of weight transfer going on in these cars as well. Very easy to stuff go awry as Yost once again going wide. That's hang off into Canada corner once more. The gravel flying up in the air like popcorn when you take the lid off, and that's going to be a factor throughout this race. It's going to turn Canada corner and the entirety of that racing surface. Basically, it's either going to be a rally special stage or a gravel covered ice skating rink. There's really no in between.
Yeah, and I gotta say, that cup car did not look right there of Yost. I'm a little surprised that he's staying out, but we did see Mark Nistor, I believe it was, going in pretty early to get repairs, and you know that's going to cost him an extra pit stop. So Yost apparently making the mental calculation that he'd rather drive a damaged car until the normal pit window and do his best. But here's a replay of his off here into Canada, and whoop, that car is just not turning in, no bite whatsoever. He's got aero damage, probably suspension damage up front from that left corner hit off of the out-of-control car of Grotto. But despite all that, Grotto actually still sitting in P4, Yost sitting in P6. And as I said, both of those drivers deciding to stay out there and wait until the normal pit sequence to get those cars wrenched on.
Yes, that's quite the unfortunate set of circumstances for at 1 point top two. That's going to make the fuel situation a bit mute for them, as the damage situation is going to be something that pops into their head a bit more. As that's Luke Mann. He just ran wide, heading off through turn number 8. So that's going to cost him P3 over Logan Grotto, who's still looking to bounce back here in this race. We've got Austin Cobb leading, though, comfortable margin, 1.5 seconds. Comfortable, relatively speaking. You know, a gap is always like a spare parachute whenever you go skydiving. In an ideal world, you'd want to have it, but in an even more ideal world, you won't have to use it. So 1.5 second margin is good, but I think he probably wants a little bit more up at the top.
Yeah, and anybody with any questions about the driving ability of Logan Grotto, that car is jacked up. You can see it in that shot right there, and still managing to keep it out there. Not only keep it out there, he's made a couple of passes to put that car back in a podium position. So Grotto living a miracle right now, running in P3. It's Cobb from Dancer, from Grotto up front, although Grotto definitely has his hands full. That damaged car is costing him aero right now as we watch Mann reeling him in, coming down the front straight. Grotto is just going to leave the inside open here. Mann is going to go through, and is Franznik going to take this as an open invitation to follow? Franznik charging down the hill into turn 3. He's going to peak, and not quite close enough, but Franznik is going to have another crack at him down here into turn 5. So Grotto definitely game keeping that damaged car on the track, but definitely run at a huge aero disadvantage.
And you can see the bump drafting game may begin played as they headed their way down the stretch into 5. This is a train of cars, never-ending train of cars chugging along this racetrack. You got Man, Grotto, Franznik, Yost, Cyphers, Wolf involved in this as well. From P3 all the way through down into 8th, it's looking to be intense. And the battle for the gold class lead too, James Franznik has been able to hold on to it really ever since we got this race going. But Will Wolf has put on a commanding drive to jump his way up into the top 10 and may try and rattle the cage of that British driver behind the wheel of that 39 car. I want to give some love to Franznik. It's 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, and I would captain guess that would probably be around like 1-2 o'clock in the morning for Franznik. So the fact he's running this quick, despite the fact he's probably tired out of his skull, fantastic performance for him.
Yeah, it is well past Franznik back there in Greenwich Meantime, as they used to call it. But Josh, can I take a look at the positions gained really quickly on that timing tower? I want to give a quick shout out to our current podium right now. Look at Cobb, Dancer, and Luke Mann. That is 17 positions gained between those 3 drivers. Obviously, there's been some kerfuffles going on out there, and they've been able to take advantage of the misfortunes of some of the other drivers. But some of that was legitimate moves on track. So the current podium came to party and getting their work done with those huge moves towards the front. And look at Mosby, picked up another one. Mosby looking to reel in that Hard Charger award, sitting in P9 right now after failing to sit a qualifying time. So Mosby getting his work done as well.
Yeah, so some very valiant efforts for these competitors, keeping their nose on the grindstone. And even these racers farther behind who ran into some trouble early. Dale Green currently holding on to 20th at the moment. They have a battle on his hands with himself and Mark Nister, who's down in 21st currently. It's a good-looking race car. Like that, a nice, interesting set of colors on that 5 car, even though he still getting abducted by UFO. I think he... Oh, okay, he's back. I was really worried there that he just gets sent off into the Neolithic period. Oh, as something may have just gone down with Yost. He is dropping down big time. Ross Yost, yes, it did hang down to turn number 5. Those heavy braking zones really not working out well for that 66 car or driver.
Yeah, Yost struggling again here on the low speed stuff under heavy braking. We saw him wash out of Canada Corner. Going to see the same thing here. That car not wanting to turn in at all. And that is the... Oh my God. Oh, and man, with maybe some fists waved out a virtual window right there, this sketchy re-entry almost takes out Cyphers, and that action right there was for P4, 5, and 6. And here's Yost again, and my apologies, I thought we were watching a replay of Yost, and that was live action for Man, but here it is from inside Yost's car, and yeah, you can see that car not wanting to slow down or turn in, Ron, down there into P5.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for the both of those racers, and a close call on the rejoin there. Luke Mann desperately trying to hold on to that spot, and nearly ended in disaster for William Wolf, who was right behind him in that last 10th car, who nearly clobbered into the side of him. Thankfully, though, these racers have been able to keep it clean, getting closer to the halfway mark. I have a proposition for Josh in the production truck once we get this replay taken care of here to see Will Wolf. I'm curious if we can maybe just listen on board very briefly here. Listen to the sights and sounds of this car and track combo, because seeing these racers run through it, I gotta wonder what they're doing with the throttle. So seeing that close call with Will Wolf there as they headed their way out of turn number 5. Well, just a brief little on board here. These brand new Cup cars. Sounds good.
All right, and hope you enjoyed that little bit of in-car action from this brand new 992.2 Cup car at Road America. And joining us in the booth right now is Nikki Chan, and I want to introduce Nikki as founder and of our league sponsor, one of our league sponsors here, Last 10th, where he's utilized his decades-long in real life track experience to create a unique approach to driver training, teaching students how to analyze and coach themselves, both on track and in sim. Nikki is also a member of the GPT Incident Review Team. And Nikki, you and I are pretty well acquainted. We've driven together in a number of different leagues. I've been a commentator on a couple other leagues that you have appeared in. So with all that experience, I wonder if you could share a word or two about how the Grand Prix Tour is different from some of the other leagues that we've both participated in.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me, guys. It's really great to be here and be a part of the broadcast. The really cool thing about GPT is the drivers you see here, and you kind of, I think earlier you mentioned you see a lot of orange and yellow in the relative gaps, and it's because this driver list is kind of curated. It's an invite-only league, and not only are they looking for drivers of a certain caliber, but they're also looking for drivers with a certain demeanor, where they're trying to build a certain culture, and not so much even build. I think certain leagues will try to drill a certain culture into you, where here we're kind of building that culture right from the get-go through driver selection. So that's definitely really cool.
Excellent. Yeah. And that is something we had a chat with Derek Cyphers, one of the founders of GPT, and that's something that he really stressed is trying to create a race weekend environment where people are kind and respectful to each other, and people have a good attitude, and a little bit less of let's call it the red mist that you tend to see in the top splits of the publics. And so with that goal in mind, do you think they've done a pretty good job of accomplishing that in GPT?
Yeah, definitely. Because as you know, I run different leagues as well, and less so now just because of timing. But in many leagues, it's not unusual to see a lot of post-race incident reports or incident reviews and stuff like that. With GPT, I kid you not, there are times when we've gone several races with no incident reviews to look at. And even when we do, some of them are not actually filed by drivers. Some of them are actually through the review of Derek and others that kind of look through and see if there's something that we should be reviewing. So as far as the culture and the cleanliness of driving, this is really good here. We're seeing this right now.
Oh yeah, and fantastic racing throughout the field so far. A couple of minor incidents, but we've seen some really nice aggressive moves, but still moves that were respectful, plenty of space left, and not a lot of contact going on. And just a quick peek down at William Wolf chasing James Franznik. Remember, Wolf qualified in P3, lost a couple off the start, got swamped in the early laps, but is clawing his way back. Now all over Franznik like plastic on grandma's couch. That is 2/10 gap right now. Franznik and Wolf running P1 and P2 in the gold class, 5 and 6 overall. So we'll keep the cameras on this action while we continue our conversation with Nikki. And Nikki, as I mentioned, you're also the founder of Last 10th coaching company.
Yes.
So why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you do in Last 10th and what is different? And I'll preface that just by saying I've been an instructor in the real world and an instructee and also in sim. And I think a pattern that a lot of instructors fall into and a lot of instruction falls into is the coach kind of through hand signals or through the radio tells you what to do and when to do it. But that may not be super helpful when the coach isn't sitting next to you anymore. So how does your approach differ from that what we see out there sometimes?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and that's kind of a part of. I'm just kind of watching the screen with Wolf and with Franznik, and I'm actually particularly excited because this is some student-on-student action for me. So they're both students, and But anyway, so yeah, it's funny because I think particularly in real life coaching and instruction, which I've kind of been doing for a short while. I've been driving in real life for about 20-25 years now, and a, a, a theme kind of really shows up, and this is the way I was coached, which is a lot of, oh, brake here, turn in here, apex here. And a lot of my students actually eventually coined this as track guide coaching. And the problem I had with that was every time I got out of the car after an instructor kind of spent a session with me, I never felt like I learned how to drive, right? I always just felt like, oh, this is just go from dot to dot and, from this mark to that mark. But I never actually learned what am I supposed to do with the car, right? So when I started instructing, I actually started instructing with, like that, like the track guide coaching. But eventually I kind of focused on what are the mistakes that drivers are making, right? And that's very car and track and corner agnostic, as in, are they using the steering properly? Is their throttle application too fast or too slow? And so a lot of the coaching revolves around fundamental techniques of how to drive a car fast, right? And I'm not saying the track guide coaching isn't important. I think they're both very, very important. But what ends up happening is everybody seems to focus a lot on the track guide coaching and not so much the fundamentals. And the problem with that is when you're preparing for a series and you're going from track to track, with track guide stuff, rote driving, which is what I call that, is once you're at a new track or a new car, like all of that information is completely useless. Like how to take a specific corner, like carousel here, for example. But with fundamentals on, you're improving braking technique, you're improving steering technique, you're improving track usage, you're improving your vision. All those carry over regardless of what car or what track you're on. So you're always improving, even though you're switching from, track to track to track.
Yeah, and real quickly, Nikki, I just want to point out James Franznick, your gold class leader, has bailed out of that fight that he had with Will Wolf. He had had enough of defending against Wolf, so he is going to go in and take his fuel stop. Wolf will continue taking over the lead in gold. And a quick word as well in defense of the track guide coaching. Now, I've been an instructor in PCA, and here in Portland, I've had to sit in the passenger seat of a stranger's car going $160 down the back straight of PIR. And it is definitely important as an instructor to learn how to control your students' inputs.
100%, yep.
Make sure that they brake when you want them to. Make sure they turn in when you want them to, just to not die. But I think that's kind of the root of that track guide coaching. But in any event, well, Nikki, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your insights, and appreciate your sponsorship of the event and of the broadcast here today. So as we wrap up, is there anyone particularly you would like to shout out or thank tonight?
We'll certainly want to thank the lead GPT and Derek Cyphers, as well as you guys at Slow Motion, putting this together. This is really well polished. I've seen a lot of broadcasts, and this is really definitely one of the top ones that I'm seeing so far. And, finally, I really want to thank my students for entrusting me with the progress, because that means so much to me that, they put their faith in that I'm able to help them. So, yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Thank you very much. Nikki Tan, folks, the founder of Last Tenth Sim and Real Life Coaching, and also one of the incident review specialists here for GPT. And thanks, Nikki, for the kind words. Also, a pretty good guy. Nikki's a Flying Lion racing teammate of mine in one of his many iterations. But anyway, back to racing. We got about 22 minutes remaining. It is Cobb from Mosley, from Will Wolf, from Leif Peterson currently. And looking at my pit counter, yeah, it looks like about the top 5 cars have not stopped yet. So Cobb, and look at Matt Mosby up 18 positions and with a fast lap of 205.258. Mosby not going to be able to hang on to that because he is going to have to stop for fuel. But our pit sequence here well underway. And gosh, I think the main fuel strategy guy I wanted to look at was Ross Yost, but due to his incident, that whole situation went out the window, the incident between him and Grotto. So we're not going to be able to see how that is going to turn out. And here we go. That is for position right there. Man coming in behind Derek Cyphers. And those guys have both done their pit stop. So right now our top 8 cars, Ron, have yet to enter the pit. So we're going to have some classic action here at Road America, as we often do. Cars coming out of the pits into that fast traffic on the main straight, entering turn 1. You see a little bit of it right there. There's a replay of Maunz re-entry as he sneaks in just behind Derek Seifert.
Yeah, and the car right behind them, you're at 1 point race leader of Logan Grotto. I wonder if we can get a camera shot on him by any chance, because if you see that race car, look at the back end, rear bumper, little bit askew, diffuser, little bit askew. The front bumper is also still crinkled up as well. We saw him involved in that incident that took him out of the lead. He's out there on the racetrack, did not repair any of that damage, or if he did repair some of it, the cosmetic damage was not repaired. Now, the main reason I bring this up is in reference to James Franznik, our gold leader. He's right behind him, 0.8 of a second, so we'll have to see how that affects the battle for the gold race win here in this 5th round of the championship, as everybody else now looking to come down pit lane here on lap 19. Austin Cobb, Matt Mosby, Will Wolf, your current gold leader. I'll have to see how he exits out in reference to Franznik. Leif Peterson and Faciolo all coming down pit lane right now. So JR, it's been a slow trickle of drivers coming into the pits thus far. It has now turned into a flood.
Boy, it is money time right now as well. We're going to be keeping an eye on the likes of Dancer, Cyphers, Mann, Grotto, and Franznik as they make their way onto that front straight. And there are going to be some conflicts here, folks, entering turn 1. And this is where everything comes into clearer focus. We're going to see Cobb exit right now. Looks like Sherburne is going to take over the lead, still out. Sherburne able to save some fuel. And it looks like Dancer may squeak by here. We'll keep an eye. Here comes Will Wolf rolling out as well. And and there is a problem right there. Somebody in the kitty litter, and William Wolf has beaten James Franznik out of the pit exit. Wolf takes over P1 in gold. And man, oh man, great work by Wolf there. He pressured Franznik, pushed him until Franznik didn't want more of it. Took an early pit. And Wolf beats Franznik out of the pits, but wait a minute, not over yet. Here we go down the moraine sweep. Franznik's going to have the inside run here, down the hill into the hard braking zone, into turn 5. There's Wolf on the outside. Wolf gets the wide line, and Wolf can't do anything about that. Franznik is through, and guess what? Here comes Gregory wants a piece of it as well, and Wolf going to lose 2 positions right there into turn 5.
I think Will Wolf was being affected by damage on that race car, but as it's not going great for Will Wolf, it went even worse for Logan Grotto as they headed their way off into turn number 1. Contact made potentially with the barrier, but he did go off the circuit in quite dramatic fashion. Let's take a look at here. You can already see him in the gravel trap trying to get that number 7 machine turned around. It was running all by his lonesome at the time. Has some drivers coming out of the pits. Oh, and there you can see is the problem. That was a code brown moment. I gotta say, Logan Grotto with some matrix moves to avoid making contact there.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. And I would kind of like maybe another run with a focus on the car coming out of the pits. That was sketchy, to say the least. We just saw an incident reviewer. Here's one. Holy moly! Probably should not do that, and that might earn that driver a trip to the principal's office. Not sure who that was, but my goodness, Grotto paying the price for that horrible pit out right there. And right now up front is Cobb from Dancer, from Mann, from Cyphers, and Franznik hanging on to P1 there, and it really looked like Wolf had him there. Wolf went from P1 in gold to P3 in one corner right there, unable to outduel Franznik into turn 5. Great stuff up and down the grid, and I know that Will Wolf's fans were on the edge of their seat right there, as it looked like Wolf had pulled a great move out of the pits, but could not hang on.
Yeah, he's still got his own battle right now. Here's Matt Mosby, who was a driver who came out of the pits and had that code brown moment with himself and Logan Grotto, and he has an unfortunate moment as well. That's farther along the lap on the opposite side. That's through Canada corner. He gets clobbered, and you can see the front end damage on that race car as the likes of Robert Neville and others shoo him up and spit him out, as we see Gregory running wide off through turn number 5. Turn 5 seems to be a real trouble spot for these competitors throughout the race, JR. JR. It's that downhill braking zone at terminal velocity and a bit of a bend off in the road as well. There's a lot of things working against the drivers as they head their way off into turn number 5, as here is that replay of Mosey's pit exit here.
Yeah, and a little surprised to see this out of Mosby. I mean, holy cow! Yikes! Right in front of Grotto right there, and man, oh man! And then you see Mosby. Mosby had some more problems there. Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, JR, I'm going to be honest, I have a theory. Now, I am not too familiar with Matt Mosby. I wonder if he has any sort of, like, stock or any sort of investment done in a company that sells replacement underpants, because that is a business that's going to get a lot of business after that, as we see a couple of code grand moments as well from Gregory, who's really sideways and down the back straightaway.
Yeah, and Mosby also showing us there in turn 1. What is it like driving a 400-plus horsepower rear-engine car on hot tires with no traction control? And you're seeing that start to rear its head a little bit here. Tire wear, definitely a thing here. I didn't see any cars go up on jack stands during that pit sequence. These Cup cars cannot take tires and fuel at the same time, so tires too costly for most of the front runners to want to change them, and they're getting a little weary right now. I'm taking a look now at Neville being challenged by is that Faciolo on the inside of turn 1. Nick is going to get that done, and Mosby sniffing around behind as well. So Neville with his hands full. Neville almost 3 wide there into turn 3. Somehow Neville comes out of that one without losing anything. And my goodness, I know that Rob has his own stream going right now, and I would have loved to have seen his face while that was going on.
Oh, and I'm not sure if I want to see his face as they go side by side, heading off into turn number 5. He'll hold on to the inside line, so close making contact. Mosby now trying to cut back. Neville had the shallow approach through there, and he's going to be chopped meat on exit. There is Mosby slipping his way through into P8. This number 35 car. Now, granted, he still has that worry about the penalty for the unsafe pit exit that we saw there, but either way you slice it, Mosby really bringing the thunder as we get to the end of this race, running that defensive line into 8, with Neville trying to jump into P8 over Mosby.
Yeah, Mosby with some great work there and some great familiarity with Road America. That is a classic. Over under right there, turn 5, somebody defends heavy on the inside. You can take a hugely wide entry outside the curb right there, get a good run off the apex. You saw Mosby do it there and drop Neville like he was dragging an anchor, and Neville now has Faciolo to deal with behind. Here is another look. You see Neville playing defense, and you see that run, the classic switchback coming out of turn 5 and have the inside line into turn 6, and that is a move that you've got to know to succeed here at Road America. Mosby showing there how it's done, and by the way, Mosby penalties notwithstanding, up 12 right now. So Mosby definitely getting his work done right there. And there's Neville again, still fighting with Faciolo. Looks like Faciolo is going to get the better of this one. He's going to have the inside line into turn 1. Neville, say Neville though. Neville hanging on. Neville's going to try the outside of turn 1 here. We're going to see what happens. Tires fading, 13 minutes remaining. Neville says, no way, not backing out. Oh, watch is just a bit wide. I thought Neville was going to get away with that one that time, and he absolutely gets smoked, dropping 2 positions in addition to the one that he was fighting Faciolo for. Neville definitely game on that one, but ran out of grip and washed out.
Yeah, but now he's got fantastic view of the side-by-side battling that's going on right up in front of him. And let's take a look at the replay here as he headed his way into turn number 1, stuck on the outside here, and there's a bit of a touch there. It looked like that car was maybe just pulled off the track like a puppet on a string. Either way, though, Neville, I think, has been able to dust himself off quite well, get the tires clean, the gravel and the grass is gone, and he's now got to focus forward. That wounded car of Rossios right up in front of that 66 machine, still with some pretty significant front-end damage. Same can be said about Logan Grotto. It's funny how the world works, JR, because those two had their own little dust-up. They are back together. It's funny how the world works. These two stuck together like magnets.
Yeah, and one could speculate that they might be the last person that the other wants to see right now at this stage of the race. Yost sitting in P11 when he had a crack at a victory here. It looks like he's down 7. Grotto running in the lead, obviously, for a big chunk of the beginning of this one, down 12 positions in P13. So, man, oh man, these cup cars giveth, they taketh away. If you want to run at the pointy end of these fields, you've got to take some chances. And without traction control, that dice roll becomes much more hazardous than it might be otherwise. Taking a look now at David Fernandez, washing out of Canada corner right there. And I told you, tires probably not changed by most of these competitors, and tire wear starting to show its ugly head out here. Road America not super hard on tires, but those heavy braking zones and low speed stuff, Ron, definitely will be hard on the fronts down the stretch.
Oh, they certainly will. This track may have a reputation for being fast, and that's because it is, but it still is a bit of a cheese grater on the tires as we look at the side-by-side battling still going on for 10th at the moment here in this race. But one battle that I'm maybe fascinated in is the battle for 3rd currently between Luke Mann and Derek Cyphers. They're covered by about 0.6 of a second. We'll touch on that right as we see Robert Neville go for the move on Yost, heading off into the turn. That's a move into turn number 5. It's been a real choke point for these racers, but a fantastic opportunity to pounce. And for Robert Neville, he's going to take full advantage of that. Now to this battle for 3rd, which has spread out a bit as they head their way off through the carousel. Cyphers may be starting to struggle right now, just stuck in the dirty air all through the carousel. And then it was either 2 ways that he could have gone through there, either stuck in the dirty air or stuck in the dirty part of the racetrack. It's a catch-22, stuck in a rock and a hard place, whatever phrase you want to say. Derek Cyphers though gonna try and get this move done. This would be the battle for that final spot on the overall podium, which is going to be important. So these drivers gotta look to try and grab any single point that they can, doubly so considering we have only 9 minutes left to go here in this 5th round of the championship.
Yeah, and these drivers are going to be watching those minutes tick down here. Only about 8 minutes and change remaining. The lap's fairly long, 2 minutes plus a little bit. So if Cypher's going to get something done here, he's going to have to get it done pretty quickly. And for the Platinum drivers right now, it's Cobb from Dancer from Mann, 1, 2, and 3. And want to mention our gold drivers as well. Franznik, by virtue of winning his battle with William Wolf, sits in P1 for the gold drivers. Wolf sitting in P2, and Rob Neville has pushed his way up to P10. And Neville has done that being in the middle of a bunch of fighting from other platinum or from platinum drivers. So all of those drivers doing a very good job. And Franznik, Wolf, and Neville have got 5, 6 platinum drivers behind them. So they definitely showed up to play here at Road America, putting in some great drives here. Looking at for a moment there, looking at Fernandez. Here comes Gregory through the pits, and that does not make sense to me. This is Gregorado's 2nd pit stop. May have been a fuel calculation error from Gregorado with about 7.5 minutes remaining. You do not want to be sitting in the pits right now. Gregorado was fighting for a podium in gold, and that goes out the window right now as he apparently stopping for a splash.
Yes, I'm trying to think of when did he come down pit lane. I'm seeing he came into the pit lane around lap 17, which wasn't too out there. I mean, that's just about normal compared to everybody else. Still in pit lane, though, so I think there may have been a little bit more going on for the driver of that 771 car. Maybe just deciding to call it a day, perhaps. But either way, slice it. Unfortunate way for things to work out for him. One driver, though, who hasn't come down pit lane since the 2nd lap, Mark Nister in the 5 machine, came in, had a 19.2 second pit stop. Was the first driver to come down pit lane, has been running at the back throughout, and even though he is consistently getting abducted by UFOs, I guess that alien power is working out. The gasoline picked up at the Zeebledy Glorb convenience store working out well for him.
Oh, Steebledy Glorb, and I'm putting that one in my notebook of Race and Ron classic moments. But in any event, yeah, here is Mister, and my gosh, he this has been a forgettable one for him. I don't think he set a qualifying time, unless I'm mistaken, and has again disappeared. So he's got connection issues and all kinds of other issues. Although it looks like he may get away with that early fuel, as Ron pointed out. Taking a look now at Austin Cobb, and look at how Cobb has driven off here. He's dropped Dancer to the tone of 5 seconds. Dancer also enjoying a huge gap behind to Luke Mann, another 4.5 seconds. So Cobb quietly here has shown up, driven consistent, and has clawed 6 positions up. Dancer, by the way, up 3. Luke Mann up 8. And as it stands right now, Matt Mosby, still your hard charger, sitting in P8, up 12 positions. But things have calmed down quite a bit here. Not a lot of close action currently for position. Looks like Cyphers and Mann about 7/10 apart. Wolf and Peterson, different classes, about 6/10 apart as well. But again, as time winding down here, it's Cobb from Dancer, from Mann up top. Then it's Franznik from Wolf, from Rob Neville in gold, the 5, 7, and 10 respectively. And been a pretty good race here at Road America, Ron. And we might have lost Ron. He may not have been authorized to reveal the Glidlick plaid pantry or whatever that was he said. So we'll, or maybe he's taking
they
taking a
tried
ride
to get
with
me
this.
into Area 51. Oh, golly. Oh, yeah. They didn't like me revealing those secrets. It definitely wasn't the fact that I had my microphone muted like an absolute doofus. Now, I adore this track. Road America puts on some good racing. Doesn't matter what kind of car you put around here. I'm trying to think of the cars that we have covered here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, because there's been a lot, from F3s, F4s, Formula Fords, Formula Vs, Spec Racer Fords. The old Mustangs that you cover on Tuesdays here on SMB JR. Pretty much every single car that is on iRacing is probably driven around here. I'd have like a dirt sprint car, but that would be a pretty tall order to try and muscle one of those around here. Every single road-going, road course car has been able to put on a good race here over the years. It's a shame that it can't be a part of the F1 calendar, but maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because otherwise they would take away some of the character of this track that's remained virtually unchanged ever since the 1950s. This has history on its side. It's got amazing racing on its side. It's currently the host of the SCCA National Championship runoffs here too. So you can't go wrong with sports cars at Road America.
Yeah, definitely not. We're going to hop back on board with Derek Cyphers in that Rexy liveried 992, and Cyphers may have taken a breath here and saved up his tires for an attack at the end. Although, as I say, that man stretches that gap back out, but Cyphers had him down to about 3/10 down the Marine sweep that time around. So Cyphers may be planning a late race move here. If he wants to get something done, he's going to have to do it fairly soon. I'm guessing this is the penultimate lap right here. Cobb likely to get the white flag this time around. Well, maybe we'll take a look at the flag stand. It's going to be close. There may be 3 laps remaining, and nope, Barney at rest there. So
I think it's 2 to go.
Yeah, I think 2 more to go, but a couple of tight gaps. We got Wolf up behind Peterson about 5/10, but that's not really for position. Neville behind Fasciolo by about Neville passing Fasciolo, actually, just as I'm looking at it. Something going on between those two. Fasciolo might have wrecked. Something happened with Fasciolo. Just lost a couple positions right there, putting Neville up into P9 overall.
Yeah, and Canada Corner strikes again. We'll have to see what happened to Fasciola in that number 8 machine, but it's dropped him down. Robert Neville now up to 9th. Logan Grotto holding on to the final spot inside the top 10. Rossios right behind him in P11 with David Fernandez trying to get a move done on him side by side as they head their way across the stripe downtown into turn number 1. Fernandez holding on to the inside line, and he'll be able to get that move done on that wounded 66. P11 for Fernandez, lucky spot P13. for Fasialo, and let's see what happened here. Heading down to Canada corner has Robert Neville right behind him and just overshot his braking marker big time there. He's got a goose with a knife in its beak on the other side of the car. That's absolutely amazing, but not absolutely amazing moment from there. Pretty much the complete opposite. Probably even more scary than getting attacked by a goose with a knife in its mouth.
Yeah, I actually like that livery. You see the orange goose beak up front there. Yeah, dragging a rear tire there into Canada corner, a little unusual. So that driver probably tinkering with brake bias, trying to squeeze the last couple of laps out of these tires successfully, and kind of failing right there as you saw him go wide into the kitty litter. But back to Austin Cobb, making his way down the back straightaway for probably the second to the last time here as he go through Canada corner. He's going to get the white flag. And this is going to be one of those races, folks, where the white flag is going to fall pretty late here. Only about 30 seconds is going to be left on the clock. And that is going to mean a longish extra lap here at Road America. So hopefully these drivers have planned accordingly. This is one of those tracks, due to the length of the lap, where you can get bitten by cutting your fuel too close. And yeah, there you see it. 15 seconds left on the 1 hour clock as Cobb takes the white flag. So we may see some sputtering here down the stretch, but as it is right now, Cobb loving what he's seeing in his relative. He has a 6-second gap behind Dancer as well, looking good with Cyphers 5 seconds behind him. And oh, by the way, Cyphers has pushed his way through Luke Mann, and he hasn't gotten away completely. And here is a replay of that pass, and where are we? Down into turn 5, the classic. I love it. The switchback between turn 5 and turn 6. Cyphers gets his Road America merit badge and gets that move done. That'll put Cyphers up on the podium. And so it's Cobb from Dancer, from Cyphers, and in gold it's Franczyk from Wolf, from Fernandez. But the still battling going on here. And I'm showing, yeah, Man was side by side with Cyphers and is now in the grass. We missed that. We'll go back and see what happened there. Hopefully no contact between those two, but some kind of kerfuffle here at the end of the Marine sweep into turn 5. Cyphers covering the inside. This is a replay now. Man will try the outside, and overcooks that outside entry, takes a little jump. We've all had that four-wheel off-ground experience. Cyphers will drive away, and all he has to do now is get it across the line to get his podium. So it's Cobb from Dancer, from Cyphers, Franczyk from Wolf, from Fernandez in gold. Here comes Cobb down the back straight for the last time into Canada corner, which should have a little tally board right there, the number of cars Canada corner has claimed, including a couple of hard hits right there. And here comes Cobb coming on to that pit straight for the last time. We'll see him climb the hill and take that checkered flag. And Ron's kind of what was a fairly tight race at the beginning. Look at our timing tower now. That top, there is a lot of white in that top 8. So the field really spread out down the stretch in this one.
Yeah, so Cobb ended up grabbing the checkered flag by 6.2 seconds. Comfortable margin there. Gonna be a good margin for James Franczyk as well, as he grabs the victory in the gold category. And keeping an eye on our hard chargers in the middle of an absolute hornet's nest right now. He and Logan Grotto were battling earlier on in this final lap. It looks like he'll lose out on 8th to Grotto, but Matt Mosby still gonna pick up your hard charger at the end of the night. 11 spots gained from the drop of the green through to the fall of the checkered. Only driver even close to him was Luke Mann, who's up 7 spots. He would have had to grab the victory to equal that tally of Mosby. We will have to see, though. Mosby, of course, was the driver, had that very odd pit exit, as Mark Nister may have just wrecked himself to hell in a handbasket as he came across the line. But we'll have to see whether Mosby has any sort of extra attention drawn to him from race control because of that pit exit. But either way, as they came across the line, Matt Mosby was your hard charger. But no doubt to bet your race winner, though. Austin Cobb and James Franczyk was not easy for either of them. Wasn't easy for this entire field, for that matter, JR. It was a super competitive race. Saw a lot of battling from the drop of the green through to the fall of the checkered. And not only was it battling with the competitors that these drivers had to worry about battling with the track as well and battling with Canada Corner. I don't know what it is. Maybe after that hockey loss, Canada Corner is looking to fight back on some of the Americans in the field.
No doubt. And, this was one of those races where, I mean, you saw those intervals at the beginning, a massive number of intervals under 0.5 of a second, massive slipstream and late braking opportunities. This, at the beginning at least, for most of the field, there was never a moment to rest. It was constant pressure for most of this hour, and if you don't do this, folks, it's hard to describe what that feels like to have a close gap ahead, try to think about making a pass while having to keep an eye on your rearview mirror, and especially for the length of time that these drivers have done it. So a fantastic show by the Grand Prix Tour grid, and a really great race here at Road America, as we very usually see out here. So let's take a quick peek outside and see who is waiting in our waiting room. You know what, Josh, maybe we get the final results up really quickly while we wait for our drivers to congregate. Taking a look at Cobb there in his starting position in P7. Austin Cobb moves up 6 to take the victory. He'll be followed by Scott Dancer and Derek Cyphers will round out your podium. Then it is Luke Mann, was definitely game. Mann might be wondering what might have been, had a number of incidents and offs throughout that one that we all saw. Then James Franznick pushes his way not only into the top 5, but P1 in the gold class. He's followed by Leif Peterson in 6. William Wolf will pick up P2 in gold in P7. Then it's Logan Grotto, your hard charger, at least for now, provisional hard charger, Matt Mosby. Then it's David Fernandez in P3 in gold, and rounding out your top 10. Then it's Yost, Rob Neville, Chris Sherburne, Peter Coomer, Rich Minkler will get you to P15. Then it is Mark Nister, Nick Faciolo, and Dale Green will get you to P18. And I think we might have one more scroll there. Yeah, looks like, there is my cousin Enrico Gregorado, who parked it there at the end for unknown reasons. Might have had a fuel calculation issue. Then you see Melorano in P27 laps off, and Casey McDonald 14 laps off. But we have the top 18 cars finishing on the last on the lead lap. So a great show by these folks, and it looks like we do have our overall winner, Austin Cobb. Austin, welcome to the commentary booth. Thanks for popping in and sharing your thoughts, and hell of a drive out here at Road America. Very, very competitive field, competitive race, and you kind of kept your nose clean and kept grinding off those consistent laps, and that got you up 6 positions and into P1. So tell me about the race from your perspective.
Yeah, I knew it would be a battle of attrition, so my main focus, qualifying, I think it was 7th, was just to make sure I kept the tires in a good state, try not to overdrive the car, and then I also knew that fuel would come into it. If I could maybe extend a lap, that would help me out in the pit cycles, which it did a lot. Because I had Scott Dancer. I mean, my goodness, he had some crazy pace in that car. I kept looking up in my rear view, just confused, like with the speed he was carrying through some of those corners, and I managed to keep him behind me. I'm really not sure how, but after the pit cycle, he pitted a lap earlier than I did, so I had some breathing room to try to get in there, use the low fuel, and get in the pits and get out. And I had a gap. I think it was like 2.5, 3 seconds, something like that. Came down to 2 seconds and then went up to 5. And then from there, I just managed. I was just making sure I didn't get too many incident points, because Scott was really forcing me to use them. I was pushing pretty hard to try to stay in front of him, and just keep it clean, keep the tires in a good state again, and just make sure I don't run out of fuel. So yeah, very, very fun race, and it was fun climbing through the field at the start too.
Yeah, great drive. And you mentioned Dancer. I'm just looking at my timing tower. It looks like he's about the 3rd fastest man in the field tonight and had a little over 2/10 on you, but somehow he managed to drop him to the tune of about 6 seconds by the end of that one. So really, really good focus drive. And you talked about the tire situation, and I wanted to ask you about that. As we've mentioned, although these cars were introduced into the iRacing service with anti-lock brakes and traction control, those nannies disabled for Grand Prix Tour. So what kind of impact does having to manage power out of corners and having to manage brake lockups like the old Cup car, how does that impact your tires in a 1 hour race like tonight?
I think it makes a huge impact, and I can attribute my success in this series so far to just being able to keep the tires alive. I think you might have seen it on the broadcast. I'll have to watch it back. I cannot wait to watch it back, actually. But yeah, you probably saw some people making more and more mistakes as the race went on, and I think that's just the tires wearing and getting too hot. They push too hard into corners and get those tires overheating, and it's kind of like a cycle where it just keeps getting worse and worse until finally you go into a corner, you brake like you normally do, and this time you lock up, or this time the rears get really light, and those are the things I just want to avoid, in a race like this. In a sprint, just send it, right? But in an hour race, a 45-minute race, I think there's a lot to be gained in consistency and in time by just driving within the limits of the car and making sure that you're very careful on throttle, like you mentioned. The traction control not being there. It doesn't really matter in like the taller gears, but yeah, the slower corners, you got to really kind of bleed it on and just gently get on that throttle to protect those rear tires. And yeah, the anti-lock brakes not being there as well, it makes it very tricky. And I was definitely more conservative into some corners than others, just making sure that I prevented lockups and slides. So yeah, just keeping those tires alive. And my lap times, I was pretty happy toward the end, how consistent they were. Definitely slower, I was definitely feeling it, but it was predictable, so that's what I wanted to do. I executed that pretty well today.
All right, kids. Well, pro tip there from your winner, Austin Cobb: drive within the limits of the car. Take care of your tires, and they will take care of you down the stretch. And they took care of Austin and put him on the top of the podium by a mile. So congratulations again, Austin, on a fantastic drive. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Shout out to Derek for putting this league on. This has been so much fun. As you mentioned, the competition is fierce in here, and it's awesome to see people race so clean and also race hard. Like, we want to get by each other, but we don't want to bump each other out of the way, and that's really cool to see. And then I gotta thank my other half for letting me do this. She's just chilling out in the living room, entertaining herself, and that's exactly where I'm going. The second I log off here, I gotta go tell her that I won this race and it was worth it.
All right, right on. Well, maybe she'll continue to be kind to you and watch the broadcast with you, so you can relive the glory. But Austin Cobb, thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with us, and we will see you here on Slow Motion Broadcasting in a couple months for the finale.
Yes, thank you guys very much. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it.
All right, cheers. Take care. All right, Ron, looks like we have got James Franzenick hanging about as well.
Yeah, James Franzenick now joining us here in the broadcast booth. James, welcome in. Congratulations on the Gold Class win when it was all said and done here at Road America. How was it out there?
Yeah, all I want to do is give a shout out to Nikki Chan with Last 10th for giving me a couple of coaching sessions and being the primary reason that I finished where I did today. So I'm looking forward to working with him again and hopefully finding some more pace.
Well, certainly had a lot of pace here. Walk away with P5 overall, win in the Gold Class. How did you enjoy this track? It seems like a bread and butter combination here with these sports cars on a classic sports car track, but these are still some newer cars on iRacing. So how was it just trying to get a grips with this combination?
Yeah, I have no idea how to answer that. I really don't know, man. I just kind of went out and did my thing and focused on what Nikki and I talked about, and it just kind of kept me like present, instead of thinking about other things and getting distracted. So, it worked out.
Hey, well,
But
fair enough.
It's a tough track. I should probably thank Leif Peterson as well, because I think at some point, I don't know if it was in practice, I was following him on the back straight, and I kind of saw his line, and it was better than what I was doing, so I picked that up too. So thanks, Leif. That's all I got, man.
Well, you held the steering wheel, you drove around this racetrack like a treat, and you grabbed a great result out of it. James, thank you for joining us in the booth, and we'll give any more thank yous or shout outs if you have any before we let you go and celebrate.
All right. Thanks, man.
Then thank you very much. That right there was James Franznick, a man of very few words, it seems.
Yeah, James exhausted after clinging to that victory, and I've wanted a little bit to hear about that fight with Wolf coming out of the pits, but maybe we'll catch him on a similar situation next time. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and bring in our hard charger from tonight's event, Matt Mosby. Matt, welcome to the commentary booth. Thanks for hanging around to chat with us. And can't talk about your performance as hard charger plus 11 without talking about the qualifying that kind of put you in the back. So walk us through that situation, and how were you feeling when you ended up TFLing it at the start?
I guess no expectations, which made it kind of fun in a way. I know it's a pretty good group of people, and try to be respectful, and figured I had a decent chance of getting through the pack. But yeah, kind of a parade of horribles in qualifying. I had some continuity issues on lap 1, and then spun it in, turn 8, I think, turn 6, turn 8, like 2 laps in a row, just on cold right rear. This track's so weird, like keeping the right side tires fired up. So spun on lap 2 and 3 and just completely blew quality.
Well, you'll be happy to know that you were one of the last cars on track during the qualifying session, and I think one or both of those incidents made the broadcast, so you can relive that glorious moment as often as you like on YouTube. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about your re-entry following the pit sequence and the situation that created with, I think it was Logan Grotto coming down the straight. So what was going on there?
Yeah, not a great look. Not a great look at all. So I come out of the pits, and I'm looking at my track map, and I see these 2 cars pass me, and just for whatever reason in my head, just kind of have a little bit of a focus lapse and figure, okay, hey, cars are by, I'm good to go. Wasn't really focused on the relative like I should have been, and to be honest with you, I think just low blood sugar a little bit. Not good. Yeah.
Fair enough, and probably Grotto deserves a shout out from you for his ninja-like reflexes. Otherwise, you would have been in the front row of the stands there at turn 1. That was wild stuff. But a great drive, Matt. You obviously had some great pace out there, and really, some of those 11 positions were taking advantage of mistakes, and some of them were some legitimate moves out there, and we got a few of those on the broadcast. So well done. And as we conclude, is there anybody you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
No, not at the moment. I'll shout out the Paintworks Racing team. We're doing the Sebring 12 here in the LMP2 class coming up, so I'm going to be spending this week prepping for that. And other than that, it's a great race. Thanks to GPT for putting on a great event, and thanks for you guys for the broadcast.
Oh, fantastic. And we hope you enjoy it. And we know you'll watch it later. And we will see you a little over a month's time at the finale.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you, Matt. All right. That was your hard charger, Matt Mosby, up 11 with a pretty beefy drive. One small error there that he took responsibility for, or his blood sugar, one of the two. But man, what a great race out here, Ron. It was really everything that I expected. I know a lot of the names on the grid. You could see the ratings of these drivers, and you knew it was going to be a great race in these cup cars, and it absolutely did not disappoint.
Yeah, top class talents, top class cars, and top class action as well. Saw some amazing battling throughout. Drivers keeping it clean, keeping it competitive, and keeping it strong as well. Next time we'll be able to see this series will be a little bit later on this year, in the spring, come time for the month of May. That'll be at Suzuka, and that's going to be an absolutely awesome track as well. I adore Suzuka. So I got to say, honestly, JR, it's a treat to be here in the booth with you, man. This was an absolute pleasure, and happy to have the Grand Prix Tour along with the ride here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And if that's anything to go by, that race to look forward to for the season finale at Suzuka is going to be a banger too.
Boy, I'll tell you what. And how many titles have we seen throughout the years contested in a final race at Suzuka? So yeah, definitely put that on your calendars, folks. You are not going to want to miss that. And speaking of calendars, although we are in week 13, the action continuing here. But first, I want to mention the Sergeant Adam W. Estep Memorial Road America Charity Invitational. That's going to be a multi-class race, GT3 and GT4 on May 30th. So put that on your calendar. And of course, if you subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting on our YouTube channel, hit that notification icon. You won't miss any of the action, but you'll want to see that multi-class race, GT3 and GT4, the E-Step Memorial. And this Sunday, looks like we've got the Liberty Bell League running at Alton Park. And next Tuesday, we've got the American Muscle Series back here at Road America in those FR 500S Mustangs. That one is going to be a banger, and the schedule looking a little light right now, and that is because we are in week 13, and a lot of our leagues go along with the official iRacing schedule, which has not been announced yet for 2026 season 2. So that schedule is going to fill up by the end of this week. So as I said, subscribe, Slow Motion Broadcast. Keep an eye on that. So until we see you next time, I am JR Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner, Racing Ron Maunz, our producer, Joahuah Wilkie, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us, and special thanks to the Grand Prix Tour for choosing us here at Slow Motion Broadcasting for their inaugural broadcast. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and we'll see you back here real soon.